now let us learn about these tags one by one. So I'm going to create a new file and I'm going to save this file with the name, let's say, more tags.html. And once this is done, I'm going to create my HTML tags. I'm writing, let's say, more tags over here as the title, and then I'm going to start with, let's say, I'm writing one h1 tag over here, and I'm going to create a title for this particular page with the, let's say, h1 tag, that is let's say iframe. Okay, we are going to demo iframe into this. So now I'm creating one iframe, okay, to which I'm going to pass one src attribute wherein I can write my path to a file. Okay, so I'm writing a path to a particular file. So let's say I'm going to write bg.mp4. okay, so this is the file at this location. So content is a location where this particular file is residing. So the browser is going to look for this particular object where this file is residing. Okay, that is more tags.html. okay, so on where this file resides, at that location it will search for this folder, and inside of that folder it will search for this particular file. I need to write mp4 over here. Okay, so let us see how it looks. So I'm going to change the file name as more tags.html. okay, if you check the view source, okay, so nothing has displayed over here because I think I need to save this file. Yeah, so once I refresh, so it has displayed it here. Correct. So this particular video file is basically rendered inside iframe. Okay, and if you notice, it has also displayed the few options and the control as well. If I select picture in picture, so your this video will be popped out of the screen, and you can continue doing few other operations if you want. Okay, so this is one advantage of using your tags like this. Okay, so similar results can be achieved with the video tag. Okay, so I can write video, then source is equal to, I'm going to write the same thing, that is content / bg.mp4. okay, and it should give me similar results. Okay, but if you notice that if I have not specified any width to it, so it is going to cover all the screen area. So I'm going to specify certain width to it. Let's say I can say 20%. okay, so it has displayed it like this. Okay, and if you want, I can just increase it a little bit. Yeah, much better. Let me just try to increase it a little more. It's almost the same height as the previous one. Okay, just a little more. Correct. And once with this, if you notice, the video is somehow not getting played over here. Okay, so I can do two things over here. Okay, I can specify controls. Okay, and you can skip this part if you want. Okay, and it will show me the controls directly. Okay, so once you click here, it will have similar options like it has, when I mentioned something inside of my iframe. Now in case you don't want controls, you can delete this part. Okay, and you can mention autoplay. Okay, and once you refresh, you'll notice that it is not playing this video. So one important catch about video tag is that you need to start that video as muted, especially when you have not specified the content. So the video will be auto played only when it is in the muted mode. Okay, so once I have specified muted attribute, then it has started playing properly on the page load. Okay, and in case you want this video to be start all over again once it stops, so you can mention loop as the additional attribute. Okay, so if you notice, in the existing video it has stopped after playing it for the first time. So with the loop, it will start again once it completes playing the video file. Okay, So we're just going to wait for this one. Just important point that I want to make over here is that you are no longer required to write autoplay equal to autoplay or muted equal to muted. So that part you can skip, and even for loop you don't require to write loop equal to loop. Okay, you must have noticed now that this particular file has got autoplayed. So important thing that we need to know about iframe tag is that it's not really required that you need to have MPG only over here. I can specify PNG or JPEG file also. So once I refresh, so because I think this file is not existing over here, so I think I have specified the JPG as the file name. Correct. So once I have this JPG file, so you can notice a file is there. Okay, it has added this default height and width to this particular iframe. So in case you want, you can specify width attribute to it. Okay, so let's say I'm going to say 600 pixel. Okay, so this is how it has changed its dimension. Alternatively, we can also have a file name directly here. So let's say I'm going to call list.html, which was our earlier file. I think the file name is list. So once I refresh, so you can notice that that HTML file is being now rendered inside my iframe. Okay. Now we also wanted to check when we use ahref inside of my iframe, then what happens. So now that we are going to change, so let me just open this file as well, list.html. Okay, so here I'm going to add, let's say, ahref at the top, ahref, and I'm going to specify some other file name. So let's say I'm going to call this table.html file. So table.html. Okay, and I'm going to specify target as parent. Okay, and then open tables is the text that will be displayed on the screen. So let me just refresh. So if you notice, this particular page gets loaded first, and because this iframe is part of this main page, so it has refreshed this particular code as well. So once I click on this particular link, you'll notice that it has changed the URL of the parent. Okay, so parent is something that has got changed. Okay, so if I just go back and let us say I don't write anything over here. Okay, I'm just going to remove this part. So what is happening, the default mode of the link will be applied. Okay, and it will just open tables inside of this iframe only. Okay, so this is nothing but target equal to self, that is the default target value, and if I refresh, okay, the same result it will give me, that it will open new page inside of the iframe itself. Okay, so we know that these are a few other possible options. So we have seen self and parent so far. Okay, so we'll just check what would be the results in case of blank. Okay, so when I write blank, okay, I'll just remove this part. When I refresh and when I write blank, it is going to open the file in the next window, that is in the next tab. Okay, so existing page will remain as it is. Okay, it will give me same results even if the link was inside of the main page, not only when it was inside of the iframe. Okay, so now let me try it with the top. Okay, so top makes sense when you have multiple nested iframes or multiple doc types on a same page. Okay, so even in this case it is going to give me similar results as the parent type, because in this case only we have one parent and one child. Okay, so let us do one thing to our lists page. Let us add one more iframe. Okay, and let us see what happens there. So just below this ahref, okay, I'm going to add one iframe tag. Okay, and I'm going to open, let's say, image-tags.html. So let me refresh. Okay, so correct, it has loaded this particular iframe now. Okay, so we have this as the main parent, this outer is the main parent, then we have this particular iframe, and inside this iframe we have this particular iframe. Okay, so this is one image inside of this iframe. Okay, so inside of this particular page, let us add one more link. Okay, so let me open that file, HTML. Somewhere at the top, let me add that particular link. Let's say a href. Okay, and let's say I'm going to write here open in parent. Okay, so let's say I write here, so forms.html I'm opening, and the target would be parent. Okay, so let us refresh. So this link is there. So when I write parent over here, so this is my immediate parent, so it will open the page inside of this particular iframe. Okay, and if I write top, okay, so it will open link in the topmost parent. Okay, so I have changed the link, and when I who is the topmost parent, so this particular whole browser page is the topmost page. So once I click here, it has opened the page inside of my complete page. Okay, so I hope you have understood all these 4 values associated with the ahref tag. Okay, now we'll again move back to our study that was related to iframes and video tags that we have recently seen. So let me just change the file name over here. So our file name is more tags. Okay, so this is our current code. So let me just remove this iframe for simplicity. Okay, I have removed this file. Okay, and then we have only one video tag on this particular page. Similar to this, we have one audio tag. Okay, to again which we can specify source, and then you can write one file over here as sample.mp3. okay, so this is a file that I have already added inside of my content. So this is my sample.mp3, and we can also specify controls. Okay, controls. Okay, so once this is done, okay, and when I hit the refresh page, you can notice that I have added one mp3 file on this page. Okay, so you can play around this code for video and audio tag. Similar to video and audio tags, we can use object and embed tags. Okay, for object tags, we can use data as the attribute and specify our URL into it. So I can write content/vg.mp4. okay, and when I hit refresh, you can notice that the browser has loaded the video using object tag. You can specify additional parameters if you required using the param tag, but this is something may not work necessarily depending on the content that you want to display. You can also specify SWF files instead of object tags. Okay, you can also display PDF or MP3 files using the object tag. So I can just copying this code, okay, and copying this MP3 file code as well, and just replacing here. Okay, so when I refresh, you can notice one audio control has also displayed on the screen. But notably, you can see that object tags covers a significant amount of space. It also has this black patch, so that again you are required to remove using the param tags, okay, or the additional information that you can use along with the object tag. So you must have noticed that it increases the amount of code, okay, and comparing it with the audio and video tag, you can see that it looks really well. Also, it has simple attributes that you can specify, and it can work wonderfully well. So it's always better to use HTML5 tags. Another problem with object and embed tag is that they have limited browser support. Okay, on some browsers you may require to install some additional plugins. So that is one additional challenge. Okay, so we'll just complete looking at the embed tag. Okay, and you can specify src over here. I'll specify the mp3 file. Okay, again when I refresh, so this particular tag is being added because of this embed tag. Similarly, I'm just adding this video file over here. Okay, so when I refresh, it has removed the mp3 file code and it has displayed this particular video file here. Okay, so this was about video, embed, param and object tag. Okay, so as I said, you can specify some PDF files over here. Okay, and that can be displayed in the page inline. Now we will check quickly about few other tags. Let me just remove these tags for now. Okay, so few other tags that we want to check is the meter tag, to which I can specify certain values. Default would be minimum value, so I can still go ahead and specify the value. Let's say minimum equal to 10, then maximum equal to, let's say, 100. Okay, and when I specify value between this range, let's say 40, okay, so it will display a meter on the screen. Okay, so this is how the meter is going to look. Okay, so if I change this value, let's say to 90, okay, so it will update it, okay, like this. And we can also specify high and low range for this meter. Okay, so let's say I specify high equal to, let's say, 90 and low equal to, let's say, 15. Okay, and okay, let me just try to refresh this. Okay, so this is how it is going to look. But when I change the value greater than the high range, okay, so if you notice, there is a slight change in the color. Okay, similarly, if I change it to, let's say, 10, which is lower than your attribute value of low, so when I refresh, okay, so another thing to notice that it is not showing any progress over here. Reason being that our minimum value is 10. So let me just reduce it to, let's say, 0. Okay, and when I refresh, you can notice there is a slight change for the color yellow. And when the value falls between this range, okay, so let's say I'm setting the value as 40. Okay, so you can notice that because the value is in the range, it has shown it into the green color. Okay, so along with these attributes, there is one more attribute that can be added here, that is optimum attribute. So I have kept some code ready for the optimum attribute. So when I open this file, okay, so this is the file. Okay, let me just change the URL. Okay, so URL is meters.html. okay, so this is how it is going to look. So depending on the optimum value, okay, so your value will be in correspondence with the optimum value, and depending on the value specified here, so these changes would be reflected on the screen. Okay, so in this particular case, when your optimum value is 76, which is above your high range, okay, and you're specifying value as 5, which is again lower than your low range, so in that case it is going to show red. If your value is falling in range, okay, like in this third case, and your optimum value is between your high and low range, okay, so in that case it is going to show in green. Okay, so meter can be quite useful in case you are working on some UI function wherein you are required to display current status or current operation completion status. In that case, you can use meter tag. You can use it programmatically. You can dynamically increase this or decrease this using JavaScript. Okay, but that is something that we can check later in the JavaScript course. Okay, again we'll continue with the remaining tags that we have. So one important tag that we need to check is the progress tag. Okay, so to the progress tag, I can specify the value, let's say 60, and maximum value can be set as, let's say, 100. Okay, and when I refresh, okay, I need to change the URL because I am no longer referring to the old page. So let me just change the URL, more tags. Okay, so you can notice that it is displaying this progress bar. Okay, so UI could be different across browser pages. Okay, for both the tags there could be slight difference. Okay, so I just added a few lines. So this is how the progress tag can be used. I can close this tag here like this. Okay. Then we have details tag. Okay. So I can write details. Okay. And then to it I'm writing a summary. Okay. Let us assume I'm writing a question here. Let's say, is this a question? Okay. And then I'm writing text associated with it, which can be displayed once we click on the arrow that is displayed by the summary tag. Okay, so we need to add some random text over here. So for that, what I can do is I can just write lorem and press tab. Okay, so this default text gets added over here. So this is sample text, which is fairly used everywhere. This is dummy text, so this is called as lorem ipsum. So this lorem ipsum is a dummy text that can be added easily by just writing lorem and pressing tab key. Okay, so when I refresh the page, you can notice that it has created these detail tabs, and by clicking on this triangle icon, it will display the lorem ipsum text. In case you must have noticed that on page load the text is hidden over here. Okay, it is collapsed. So to have text open, you can just specify open attribute over here. Okay, you can either simply write it like this, or you can specify open is equal to open like this. Okay, and once you refresh the page, you can notice that it is opening in the default expanded mode. Okay, so this is how details tag will work. Let me just remove these tags for now. Okay, let me just refresh. Okay, and then we need to check figure tag. Okay, so I'll just write figure. Okay, and then inside figure I can write img tag. Okay, to which we can specify one image. So let us say I'm going to use this HTML5 image. Okay, so the path is content slash html5.png. so I'm writing it here, content slash html5.png. okay, so if I refresh, it is displaying me the image, plus I can write figure caption to it. Okay, like this is the logo for HTML5. Okay, when I hit the refresh, so this text will be associated with this image. Okay, so that was all for the figure tag. The one final tag that we need to check is the time tag. Okay, so this is something that might not give us the expected output, but this is something that we can use oftenly. Like, let's say Zoom call meeting will be at, and then you specify your time that you want to display. Let's say you're just writing 5 p.m. okay, but there inside of your time tag you can specify a date time, and you can specify, let me just increase the size of this window. Okay, and then you can specify time like this. Let's say 2020, let's say 12:12, and you can add time as well here. Let's say 13:00 like this. Okay, but when you refresh this page, so it will be displayed something like this. Okay, but however we are using this page in the browser, so there is no any effect of this particular code. But when you write this kind of code inside of your HTML email, okay, or when you try to view this page inside a mobile browser, it will give you some additional options like add it to reminder, or add it to calendar. Okay, so these kind of actions it will display. Okay, so this is very useful tag. Okay, and this is commonly used when you send meeting invitations, or you want to send some meeting timings. So in that case, handheld devices or any third-party applications can quickly create events for you. So the next tags which we want to check are the SVG and canvas tags. So first let's quickly check about the canvas tags. So let me just create the HTML page. Okay, so this svg hyphen canvas.html is the file I've created, and this file is open here in the browser. So let me just add some title to it. Let's say SVG canvas. Okay, when I hit refresh, you can see the title has got added over here. And let me just try adding a canvas tag over here. Okay, now you can check that there's no significant changes in the web page over here. I'll just add one h1 tag. Okay, uh, let me just add some text inside of h1 tag. Okay, so you can notice that the canvas has not rendered anything. Okay, so we need to add height to it. Let's say 100 and width as 100. Okay, and after that I need to specify some style to that particular canvas. So I need to write inline css. So let us not bother about writing css much over here at the moment, but just to explain this tag, I'm just going to add one border with 1 pixel size. It will be in solid form. Okay, and I am giving color to this particular border as, let's say, black color, or yeah, so black color is 000. So when I refresh, you can notice that the canvas tag has rendered one square here. Okay, so this is basically outer border for this canvas. Now you can add multiple code over here. Apart from that, to build the animations, you can write JavaScript code to this tag, and that JavaScript code can run on this particular canvas if you have specified, let's say, some ID to it. Okay, so let's say I'm writing my canvas. Okay, so you can refer this ID inside of your JavaScript code, and the necessary animation or the rendering will be done here automatically. So I think we cannot dwell in much more into canvas tag at the moment, reason being it will require knowledge of CSS and JavaScript. So we are going to cover canvas in detail when we will learn about CSS and JavaScript. Okay, so this is something that we'll definitely try exploring more when we learn future lectures on CSS and JavaScript. Okay, so let us continue on SVG tag. Okay, so SVG is basically, again, it will give you a good amount of vector graphics. Okay, so this is how the SVG tag is created. Okay, so just like the image map that we have seen, you can draw multiple objects using SVG. Best part is that the objects drawn under SVG won't be pixelating, and you can increase size and width or the dimensions of those objects by changing the code itself. Okay, now there are many subtags available inside of SVG. Okay, as we have discussed earlier. Okay, but there's no point to remember all these subtags as well. So there are many tools available. So let me show you a few of the tools available under SVG. Say SVG generator online. When I search this, okay, so these are few options. So this is very fairly simple to use method draw. So you can open this one. Okay, and let me just make this screen into full screen. Okay, and what you can do is you can start drawing whatever the animation that you want. So let's say I'm writing something with the pencil over here. Okay, I am, let's say, creating one square. Okay, another square. Okay, then let me try writing over the square with the pencil. Okay, I can also add text, need that. Okay, let's say I'm writing kodegod.com, then I'm adding few shapes like this. Okay, you can of course change colors and everything. These kind of things you can definitely do. Okay, let us say these changes I have done now. Okay, and I want this particular screen to be available on my HTML. Okay, so what I can do is I can go to view, then source. Okay, so you can notice that it has created all the SVG code for you. Okay, so you can see this path, rectangle, everything else like kodegod text. It must have created some tags. See, the text tag is here. Okay, so all these tags are easily available, and by using this code you can quickly generate this code. Otherwise you will waste humongous amount of time in writing this particular HTML code. Okay, so for simplicity, now let me just copy this code. Okay, I'll go back to my page. Okay, so this was our original page. Let me resize the screen, and I can replace my SVG code over here. Okay, so I have replaced everything. Okay, I'll just refresh. So you can notice that the same code has appeared over here. Okay, and if you want, you can change things over here. So for example, I'm going to change color of this particular rectangle. Let's say I'm writing color as FF3. Okay, when I refresh, so you can notice that the rectangular color of the outermost rectangular has got changed. Okay, so that was all about SVG. So as I said, the canvas will require JavaScript and CSS. So that is something that we'll check in depth when we'll complete our course on CSS and JavaScript. Alright, so now that we have completed most of the tasks and we have seen how their implementation is, so let us discuss the project that we have promised to build. So I'm just going to open that file for your reference. So this is the project that we need to build. So this is going to be completely built using HTML tags only. Okay, so we have some animation running at the bottom, then we have some images and text in different fonts, and we have two forms over here, one for registration and other one is for login. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create one more page like this. Okay, so just to simplicity, I am going to create one new page over here. Okay, I'm going to save this file with the name project-sample, okay, .html. Okay, and I'm going to open that file over here. Okay, so because this HTML has got added. Okay, so we are able to see now the blank page. So I'm going to create this HTML page. I'm writing the code. Okay, I'm writing HTML5 over here. Okay, I think learn HTML5. Okay, let me open that file over here in the next tab. So what I have done is now I have opened the original project file in the next tab. Okay, so this is the original project. Okay, so if you notice what are all the things that we have. So at the top we have learn HTML5 as the title, so which I have added over here. So let me just convert it to capital letters. Okay, and after that we have this section. So let me just explain this over here on the slides, how we can create the DOM structure or the HTML code for this particular page. Okay, so what we can do is we have this one image tag over here. Okay, then we have, let's say, one h2 or h1 tag. Okay, then we have this normal text. Okay, and this particular text is in the small tag. Okay, and about the table structure, what we can do is we can create a certain table with, let's say, 3 columns, I would say. So it would be like this. Okay, so this can be a table. Okay, maybe we can keep some margin over here, or we can align this table in certain way that is aligned in the middle or on the right hand side. Okay, but in the sectionally, what we can do is we can create these 3 different columns. Okay, we can what also do is if we require this text to be aligned, we can create 2 rows for this particular section like this, and this can be part of 2 rows. Okay, so what we will do is use row span for this particular section. Okay, so this particular content block will be spanned across 2 rows. Okay, and once this is done, by default all the body tags has white as the background text. So at the bottom, this particular thing is a video file which is running in the loop. So what we can do is have a video tag code over here. So this video will be here like this. Okay, at the bottom. Okay, so in a way it is creating an illusion that we are basically, this particular animation is running on the whole page. It is not like that. This video has white color at the top, and because we have white color here as the background, it is getting mixed over there, so it is looking like as a single object. Okay, so I guess this is how we are going to solve this problem. Okay, this is how HTML code will be for this particular page. So let us try to implement this. Okay, so this is our file. So I am going to start writing with the table tag. Okay, so here let's say I'm adding this tr, first row that we are going to have. Okay, and then preferably we will require one td inside it. Okay, for the first section. So I am going to write one row span equal to 2 for this particular TD. Okay, so here I'm going to have my all the HTML from the first element. Okay, and then I'm going to create one TD for the registration and login headings. Okay, so I'm going to create those here immediately. Let's say h1, then I'm writing register. Okay, so immediately I'm creating another h1 over here. I'm writing login, and then what we can do is in the first TD we can add this particular image object. Okay, so I'm writing content slash, I think the file name is, I need to check, the file name is okay, html5.png. so I'm writing that html5.png. okay, so let us try to refresh and see what is our current. Okay, so the text has appeared over here because we are not specifying any width over here, so that is why this content is coming next to each other. So obviously we are going to require adding those attributes over here, but let us fix why this image is not working properly. Okay, content slash html5. okay, so image is rendering properly now. So let me just specify width to this particular html element because we require some space on the left and right side. So I'm not going to write 100%, I'm going to write, let's say, 90% as the width. Okay, so this has obviously got increased. Now let us add borders for some time. Okay, so let's say border 1 pixel, so we'll get an idea that how exactly these tables are getting rendered on the page. Okay, so after this let us try to view this page into full screen. Correct. So what we'll do is we will align this table on the right hand side. Okay, so to do that I just need to write align right. Okay, correct, so it has got aligned to the right properly, and then we'll create the rest of the tags. So we will require another row. Okay, so in the second row we'll have only 2 TDs. Okay, that will be for the creating our forms. Okay, now let us add the rest of the codes in the first TD. So let me just copy this content. Okay, I'm just writing here inside of a p tag, so like this, and then I'll just copy this part again from here, and I need to write this inside of a small tag. Okay, so added this content. Okay, so when I hit refresh over here, okay, so you can see that this content has got added, and even these 2 TDs have also got added. So let us try adding remaining tags over here in the second section. So let me just open this other page for the reference. So we'll start adding HTML tags. Okay, so here we will require input tags. Okay, so this one is the email field, so I'm writing email. I'm writing placeholder as email. Okay, and we require some validation over here because when I submit this page, it is showing me this validation, so I need to write required over here. Okay, then I need to just copy this one, and to create another element I'm just writing mobile over here instead of email. Okay, again here I am changing the placeholder text. Okay, and then I'm going to paste the same code again. I'm writing date time, or we just require the date over here. Okay, so I'm just keeping it as a date. Okay, so we don't require a placeholder in this case, so I'm going to remove it. Okay, then I'll paste the code again, and this time we have a text box which is attached to a data list. Okay, so we will create a text box, and it has the default placeholder text as select subject. Okay, and once this is done I need to create my data list. Okay, so I'm writing options. So let's say first option is C. I'm just copying paste copying and pasting these lines. So second one is, let's say, C++, then we have, let's say, JavaScript, then let's say Python, and one more, let's say Java. Okay, so these 5 options I have added here. Okay, so order is just slightly different, so I just cut paste over here like this. Okay, I'm going to specify name to this list as, let's say, subjects. Okay, and then we need to specify the list name here, okay, as subjects. Okay, so let us see how, the impact it has over here. Okay, so correct, so this is working fine. Okay, if you notice, best part about this is that it filters the result and gives you the output. Okay, so when I write, let's say, py, okay, so Python is coming. When I did it y, so because JavaScript and Python has p letter in it, so it is displaying here it like this. When I write plus, it will just show me C++. Okay, so it's very good control. Now you will notice that these objects are coming next to one another. So what I need to add over here is couple of br tags. Okay, so I'll just copy paste, pasting one here, then another here, and one more here. Okay, so after that, okay, you can see that it is coming properly now. Then other tag that we need to add is the password and the button. Okay, so I'll just quickly copy paste it twice, okay, along with these two br lines like this, and then this is the password field. Okay, we will obviously not have the list object supplied over here, so I'll just remove it, and I'm going to change the placeholder to password. Okay, so when I just refresh, you can see that it is appearing properly. I think there's some problem with the br tags. Okay, so you can notice that these are 4 times, so I'm just going to get rid of these 2 extra brs. Okay, when I hit refresh, it is rendering properly now. So what has happened now that one extra subject has got added over here, and because the list is attached to here, it is displaying over there. So I need to remove that. I need to change this to a button. Okay, and I need to change value of this button to register. Okay, like this. So when I hit the refresh, you can see the button has appeared over here. Now when I click on this button, this particular email field is not getting validated. What is the reason for that? There is no form at all actually here, so I need to create a form, so only then the submission will work. Okay, so once I do that, okay, so another thing to notice here that it's a normal button that I've added here. Okay, we need to add the submit button. Okay, not the normal generic button. So the submit button works with a form tag. Okay, so when I hit the refresh, okay, now you can see that it is validating properly. Before submit, it will ensure that the proper data is entered. So I think for the registration page, we have done most of the things. For login, what we need to do is we will require similar fields. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this part. Okay, and I'm going to paste here inside of the second TD. Okay, so we have the closing tag for the form. I'm just going to create starting tag. Okay, we don't require this part because closing part is already here. Then for this particular statement, I'm going to replicate it again, because we will require username field at the top. So this is again a text control, and then we have field as email/password. Okay, so I'm writing email/password as the placeholder name, just adding few spaces, and if we just hit refresh over here, okay, so we have got the text controls, but those are not in the expected format. So I'll just copy the br tags over here, so it will create those spaces in between of those two input text elements. Okay, so it is showing properly now. Only drawback is now that somehow the text is getting aligned into middle. So what we need to do is to align it at the top, we need to use v-align attribute. I can say v-align equal to top, and it will shift to top. Okay, Similarly here you can notice that it is coming in the middle. So even for this particular TD I need to specify there that the content needs to be on top. Okay, so like this. So I think we are fairly closer in terms of the UI when I make this full screen. So you can notice that I think there is some similarity. Of course, we need to create these spaces by entering few more spaces over there. So we'll do that quickly now. I can add space between this PR tag. Okay. So let's say I've added two more. Okay, like this. And this particular line is on the next line. So I will also add one BR after this kodegod. Okay, so it is coming on the next line. And now let us continue. This particular field is also working, so your form pages are working. Now we need to add one video at the bottom. Okay, so how we can do that? So just after this particular tag I can create my video tag. Okay, and the code for this video tag needs to be in loop. Okay, and autoplay will only work when we have the video mode into muted. Okay, so I've specified these three attributes, and most important attribute is the source tag. So I write src tag. I am specifying the file name. Okay, let me just confirm the file name. So file name is snow.mp4. okay, snow.mp4. okay, so when I hit refresh, so this video had starting showing up. It is working in the loop as well. Okay, now few things that we need to improvise is the the font size. It is little varying. If you also notice, I have forgot to add this particular HTML tag, so let us quickly add that. Okay, so I'll just add it in the h2 tag. Okay, HTML5. okay, we need to refresh here. Okay, so it is appearing now. I think it needs to be below your image tag, so I'll just cut it from here and paste it on the next line. Okay, and here, okay, you need to save and refresh, because okay, now we can refresh directly. Okay, so it is showing properly now. There's slight difference if you notice in terms of font. Okay, the font is slightly different. These are the default fonts which are being displayed. Okay, so because now anyways we are going to start with the basic level of CSS. So far what we have done is just using the plain HTML, we have at least somehow reached to the 90% of the result. Okay, let me just remove this border now because we don't require it anymore. Okay, so if I refresh, we almost have the similar page. Okay, and what else that we need to change over here is the font that is being displayed, and you can notice some white space is here. Okay, so to change this settings will be requiring to add some CSS code over here. So that will be very simple code, and anyways in the next lecture we are going to start with the CSS. So this can be a little introduction for you to write the CSS code. So to the body tag, okay, I am going to write few CSS code. One is the margin that is displayed on your web page, that will get removed by adding this. Okay, so if you notice this 5 pixel space is there. Okay, so when I hit refresh over here, okay, so it is completely touched to the edges of the browser. Okay, so that has happened because of that. Now let us change the font. Okay, so I'm writing font family, then I'm writing Helvetica as the font name, and in case this form is missing, I can use let's say Vardhana as the second font. And when I refresh, so you can notice the font has got changed. Okay, so the page is almost looking same as the project that we had actually planned. Okay, but there's slight difference between the spacing of this particular image tag at the top. Okay, so what we need to do is simply add some cell spacing or padding. Okay, so I'll add cell spacing as, let's say, 5 pixel. Okay, and then refresh. Okay, refresh here actually. Okay, so I think it's fairly decent now. Let me just increase it by 10 and let us how it displays. So when we refresh, it's almost similar now, almost similar. Okay, so I think this HTML is we have created as h2. We can write it as h1. I need to save it here actually first. And when I hit refresh, so we have got it almost the same, almost. Okay, so we can tweak these elements around by changing maybe width of the this particular first TD or second TD. So you can complete it by changing those values a little. Maybe you can change the width, or you can change the overall width of this particular table. Okay, so as we can notice some significant difference between these two pages. Okay, so we are noticing difference between the font size of the registration. So we can reduce it by shifting to h2 tag instead of h1. So let me just change that. Okay, so I have, okay, we wanted this as h1. So for registration and login we need to change. So I have changed it here. So h2 is added over here. Okay, let me just refresh the page. Okay, now that has got changed. Okay, then we need to change the the width issue that we have, that the width is shifting. So what we can do is we can quickly assign some width to this particular first TD. Okay, so let me just try specifying 50% or 60% over there as the width. So I'm specifying width equal to, let's say, 60%. Okay, and when I refresh, okay, we need to refresh this. Okay, so now it's almost closer to what is expected. And we can also notice that the fav icon is not there. Okay, so we can add it by adding link over here to that particular fav icon. So I'm writing icon over here, and the type is image, and the file format is in PNG. Okay, href, we need to specify the file name, so it is content slash HTML5.png. okay, and we can also specify the size that it needs to be displayed. Okay, so sizes can be 16 by 16. Okay, it should be in small x. Okay, so when I refresh, it has displayed the icon over here. You can notice it here. We'll quickly check the fields. Okay, so I'm just aligning this window next to one another. So the field is email, mobile, and then we have the date control over here, then the select subject and password. So everything is fine here. We need to change the button text for this login button. Okay, and email password needs to be email/mobile. Okay, and the password field is correct also. So we need to change the placeholder for this particular text control, and then text for this particular button. Okay, so I can change it here. So here is a button, and we can write it login. Okay, on the refresh, it is displaying me the login option over here. Okay, and then we wanted to change the placeholder. I need to write mobile over here instead of password. Okay, so this is working perfectly fine. I think the most of the changes are reflecting properly. Okay, so this is our final output. So this was all for this particular tutorial on HTML5. In the next video, we are going to start with the CSS. So that will be our second video in our series on web development. So stay tuned for that video. And meanwhile, you can continue practices with the HTML5. You can try creating few other pages. Follow us on Instagram.com. The URL is instagram.com/kodegod.com. We are uploading good content there as well. Don't forget to like this video, share this video with all your friends, and in case you have not subscribed to this channel, definitely subscribe to kodegod, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.